Alpha Matriculation High Secondary School, Puducherry. Good morning, students. I welcome you all 12th standard students for this economic class. Let us now go to lesson number 8. International Economic Organization. Yes, first of all you should know what is International Economic Organization. It is an organization of 188 countries working to foster global monetary cooperation, secure financial stability, facilitate international trade, promote high employment and sustainable economic growth, and reduce poverty around the world. First one is global monetary cooperation. What do you mean by that? It is a real cooperation of all members of the world embracing market economy. It is concentrated action for the sake of credit expansion. Second one, secure financial stability, that is to bring in stability in financial situation of all the countries. Third, facilitate international trade, that is to make easy the international trade. And next, promote high employment and sustainable economic growth, that is to bring in high employment and maintain a economic growth. And last one is to reduce the poverty around the world. This is the meaning of International Economic Organization. Let us now see the learning objectives of this lesson. To understand the role of International Economic Organization, to know the objectives, functions and achievements of IMF, WTO and World Bank, to study the objectives, functions and achievements of the various trade blocs like SAARC, ASEAN and BRICS. So you will be learning about all these in detail in this lesson. The major divisions of this International Economic Organizations are 3 in number. The first one, IMF, International Monetary Fund. Second, WB, World Bank. Third, WTO, World Trade Organization. Let us see how these 3 organizations were improving the economy of each country. Look at the picture given. They were the founding fathers of the World Bank and the IMF. The one on the right is John Maynard Keynes and the other is Harry Dexter White. The Bretton Woods Conference proposed IMF, World Bank and International Trade Organization in 1944. You should know what is that Bretton Woods Conference. The Bretton Woods Conference was a gathering of 730 delegates from all 44 allied nations at the Mount Washington Hotel situated in Bretton Woods, New Hampshire, United States. This conference was held from July 1 to 22, 1944. Look at the chart given here. They have given the name of the 3 institutions along with the headquarters and the year of establishment. The first one, IMF, its headquarters is in Washington DC. It was established in 1945. Second, World Bank, its headquarters is also in Washington DC. Year of establishment is in 1945. And the third, World Trade Organization, its headquarters is in Geneva, established in 1995. Let us now see the first institution, that is IMF, International Monetary Fund. At present in the world, there were totally 189 countries were the members of this IMF, and the Republic of Nauru, a tiny South Pacific island nation in Pacific Ocean, became the 189th member of the IMF in 2016. The purpose of IMF is to promote economic and financial cooperation among all its member countries. The IMF was established mainly to assist the member nations to tide over the balance of payments disequilibrium in the short term. What is this balance of payment disequilibrium? When a country's current account is at a deficit or surplus, its balance of payment is said to be in disequilibrium. Here's the next topic, objectives of IMF. See the points mentioned there, the various objective points. First, promote international monetary cooperation among the member nations. This is nothing but the action taken for the sake of the credit expansion of all the member countries. Second, to facilitate faster and balanced growth of international trade. Yes, what's the meaning of balanced growth? Balanced growth refers to full employment, high level of investment, overall growth in productive capacity, equilibrium. And third, to ensure exchange rate stability. What is exchange rate? Exchange rate is nothing but the value of one country's currency in relation to the value of another country's currency. The rate play an important part in economics. Next, to reduce exchange controls imposed by member nation. It is a governmental restriction on the movement of currency between countries. Next, to establish multilateral trade, that is nothing, a trade between 3 or more nations. And next, to promote the flow of capital from developed to developing countries, there is fund flow or transferring fund from the developed to the developing countries. That help will be given by the IMF. And last is it solves the problem of international liquidity. What is liquidity? It is a foreign currency or gold in the reserve of any country. It is very useful to pay the amount of imported goods and reduce balance of payment deficit of each and every country. See the chart given, the various IMF functions: BOP crisis assistance, exchange stability, facilitate international trade, foster sustainable growth. Let us now see the functions of IMF. Look at the points. First one, stability in exchange rate, correcting BOP disequilibrium, determining par value, balancing demand and supply of currency, reducing trade restrictions, and last, providing credit facilities. Let us see the first one, bringing stability in the exchange rate. The IMF is maintaining exchange rate stability and emphasizing devaluation criteria, restricting members to go in for multiple exchange rates, and also to buy or sell gold at prices other than declared par value. Yes, you should know what is that exchange rate stability. An exchange rate is the value of one nation's currency versus the currency of another nation or economic zone. For example, how many US dollars does it take to buy 1 euro? Next, it is curtailing the multiple exchange rate also, you should know what is that multiple exchange rate. It is a system where a country will have both fixed and floating foreign exchange rate at the same time, and both can be used when exchanging currencies in that country. And next is a new word called a par value. What is par value? It is a face value of a bond. It is the principal amount that the lender is lending to the borrower. It also refers to the amount at which a security is issued. Second point, correcting BOP disequilibrium. We have already seen in the previous topic what is balance of payment disequilibrium. Again, when a country's current account is at a deficit or surplus, its balance of payment is said to be in disequilibrium. It will correct BOP disequilibrium of all the countries. Third point, determining par values. IMF enforces a system of determination of par values of the currencies of the member countries. According to the Articles of Agreement of the IMF, every member nation should declare the par value of its currency in terms of gold or US dollars. Under this article, IMF ensures smooth working of the international monetary system in favor of some developed countries. Next point, balancing demand and supply of currencies. IMF maintains a balance between demand and supply of various currencies. The fund can declare a currency as a scarce currency which is in great demand and can increase its supply by borrowing it from other country concerned or by purchasing the same currency in exchange of gold. Next function is reducing trade restriction. The fund aims at reducing tariffs and other trade barriers imposed by the member countries with the purpose of removing restrictions on remittance of funds or to avoid discriminating practices. What is tariff? It is a tax imposed by a government on goods and services imported from other countries. Trade barriers, I hope you all know, it's nothing but the government induced restrictions on international trade. And last one is the providing credit facilities. IMF is providing different borrowing and credit facilities with the objective of helping the member countries. The credit facilities offered by it includes basic credit facility, extended fund facility, compensatory financial facility and structural adjustment facility. We will be learning about all these facility in detail in the next topic. See the next topic, facilities offered by IMF. The IMF offer many facilities for the member countries. Let us see one by one. The first is basic credit facility. The IMF provides financial assistance to its member nations to overcome their temporary difficulties relating to balance of payments. A member nation can purchase from the fund other currencies in exchange for its own currency. The loan is repaid when the member repurchases its own currency with other currencies. A member can unconditionally borrow from the fund in a year. This unconditional borrowing right is called the reserve tranche. Second one, extended fund facility. In this arrangement, the IMF provides additional borrowing facility up to 140% of the members' quota over and above the basic credit facility. This extended facility is limited for a period up to 3 years and the rate of interest is also less here. Third one, compensatory financing facility. In 1963, IMF established this facility mainly to provide additional financial assistance to the member countries, particularly primary producing countries facing shortfall in export earnings. In 1981, the coverage of the compensatory financing facility was extended to payment problem caused by the fluctuations in the cost of cereal inputs. Next facility given is buffer stock facility. The buffer stock financing facility was started in 1969. The purpose of this scheme was to help the primary goods producing countries to finance contributions to buffer stock arrangements for the stabilization of their primary product. Next is supplementary financing facility. Under the supplementary financing facility, the IMF makes temporary arrangements to provide supplementary financial assistance to member countries facing payment problem relating to their present quota sizes. And the last one is structural adjustment facility. It was established in March 1986 to provide additional balance of payment on concessional terms to the poorer member countries. In 1987, the enhanced structural adjustment facility was started to augment the facility to the low income countries. The purpose of both the structural adjustment facility and the enhanced structural adjustment facility is to force the poor countries to improve their balance of payment and economic growth. See the next topic, achievements of IMF. First one, establishment of monetary reserve fund. Second, monetary discipline and cooperation. Third, special interest in the problems of UDCs. What is UDC? Underdeveloped countries. Okay. See the first, establishment of monetary reserve fund. So the fund has played a major role in achieving the sizable stock of the national currencies of different countries. Using this stock, it helped all the other member nations to meet their foreign exchange requirements. Second, monetary discipline and cooperation. The IMF shown keen interest in maintaining a good monetary discipline and cooperation among all its member countries. It has provided good assistance only to those countries which make sincere efforts to solve their problem. Third, special interest in the problems of UDCs. The notable success of the fund is the maintenance of special interest in the acute problems given for the developing countries. The IMF has given lots of financial assistance to solve the balance of payment problem of UDCs. Many UDCs continue to be UDCs till now, while the developed countries have achieved substantial growth. Next topic is India and IMF. Let us see how India is benefited by this IMF and what are all the services rendered by IMF to India. See the first one, India stood fifth in the fund till 1970. India had a power to appoint a permanent executive director. India is one of the major beneficiary of the fund assistance. It has been getting aid from various fund agencies from time to time and has been regularly paying its debt. India's current quota in the IMF is 5,821.5 millions. What is quota, students? A quota is a government imposed trade restriction that limits the number or monetary value of goods that a country can import or export during a particular period. Next point, besides receiving loans to meet deficit in its balance of payment, India has benefited in certain other respects also. So IMF has given a very good supporting hand for India for its development. Let us see the second institution, International Bank for Reconstruction and Development, or otherwise called as World Bank. It was established in 1945 under the Bretton Woods Conference in 1944. We have already seen about this Bretton Woods Conference in the introduction part. The main purpose of this IBRD is to bring about a transition from wartime to peacetime economy. Along with IMF, we can call this as a sister institution. One country can become a member of IBRD only after becoming a member of IMF. That is, all the members of IMF are the members of IBRD. It was established to provide a long-term financial assistance to member countries. Look at the chart given. World Bank Group. It is 5 in number. First one, International Bank for Reconstruction and Development. Second, IDA, International Development Association. Third, IFC, International Finance Corporation. Fourth, MIGA, Multilateral Investment Guarantee Agency. Next, ICSID, International Center for Settlement of Investment Disputes. Let us see the World Bank Group in detail. See the chart. See the first column. The various World Bank groups are given. Second is their headquarters. Third column, when it was founded. Fourth column, how many countries were members of it. And fifth column, what is the purpose of starting it. The first one, IBRD, its headquarters is in Washington. It was founded in 1944. The total member countries are 189. The main purpose of this is to development and poverty reduction. Second, IDA, headquarters is in Washington. It was founded in 1960. The total member countries are 173. The purpose is development and poverty reduction. Third, IFC, headquarters is in Washington. It was founded in 1956. The total member countries are 184. The purpose is private sector development and poverty reduction. Fourth, MIGA, its headquarters is in Washington. It was founded in 1988. Total member countries are 181. The purpose is political risk insurance and foreign direct investment. And last, ICSID, headquarters in Washington. It was founded in 1966. The total member countries are 163. The main purpose is international arbitration. Next, let us see the objectives of World Bank. First, it helps for the economic reconstruction and development of its member countries. Second, it ensures balanced development of international trade among the member nations. Third, it provides loans for infrastructural and industrial projects of member nations. Fourth, it transforms war-ravaged economies into peace economies. Last, it supplements foreign private investment by sanctioning loans out of its own funds. Look at the picture, students. It is a picture of the World Bank, which is located in USA, Washington. Now we are going to see the World Bank's lending procedure. There are three methods through which World Banks lend money to the member countries. First is loans out of its own fund, loans out of borrowed capital, and third, loans through banks guarantee. Now the World Bank has changed its loan strategy. It started to lay emphasis on the following fields. First one, financing scheme which directly influence the well-being of the poorer countries. Next, it increased the amount of agricultural loans more rapidly than in any other sector. Third, the bank now also takes interest in the activities of the development of rural areas, such as spread of education among rural people, development of roads in rural areas, electrification of the villages. Electrification, that is providing electricity facility for the entire village. Yes, let us go to the next topic. Functions of IBRD. The major role of the World Bank is to provide loans for development works to member countries, especially to underdeveloped countries. Let us see some of the functions of the World Bank. First is investment for productive purposes. That is, the World Bank provides financial assistance to its less developed member countries for productive purposes. It also encourages the development of productive facilities and resources in less developed country. Second, balanced growth of international trade. It promotes the balanced growth of trade at international level. It maintains equilibrium in BOP, that is balance of payment, of member countries by encouraging international investment. Third, provision of loans and guarantees. It arranges the loans or provides guarantees on loan by various other channels so as to execute important projects. We should know what is called as a guarantee. A guarantee is a promise to take responsibility for another company's financial obligation if that company cannot meet its obligation. Number 4, promotion of foreign private investment. It promotes private foreign investment by means of guarantees on loans made by private investors. The bank also provides finance for productive purposes out of its own resource or from borrowed funds. And last is technical services. W Bank provides different kinds of technical services to all its member countries through staff college and experts. Next, let us go to the achievement of World Bank. World Bank helped greatly the reconstruction of Europe after the Second World War. It has been providing the developed and developing countries the same treatment in the process of growth. Let us now see the achievements of World Bank. The first one, the bank's membership has increased from the initial number of 30 countries to 68 countries in 1960, and in 1988 it has increased to 151. At present, we have totally 189 member countries. Second, the World Bank grants medium and long-term loans for reconstruction and development purposes to its member countries. Third, initially the World Bank loans were mainly directed to the European countries for financing their programs of reconstruction. Later, the strategy has been changed and it started to lay more emphasis on financing schemes for the poor masses of the developing countries. And the next, the World Bank grant loans to member countries only for productive purposes, particularly for agriculture, irrigation, power and transport. And the last, the International Development Association IDA provides loan to UDCs at very low rate of interest. The economic inequality among the member countries goes on increasing. Many African countries are yet to improve their economic status. Next topic, India and World Bank. Let us see how this World Bank led to the development of India. First, the World Bank has given large financial assistance to India for economic development. World Bank has given finance to India in the development of infrastructure such as electric power, transport, communication, irrigation projects and steel industry. The World Bank has assisted a number of projects in India. It has also assisted India in accelerating programs of poverty alleviation and economic development. Till 1980, India was the largest beneficiary of the World Bank assistance. IFC, that is International Finance Corporation, identified 5 priority areas, that is capital market development, direct foreign investment, access to foreign markets, equity in investment in companies and infrastructure. Students, now we have finished the 2 institutions, IMF and the World Bank. And the third institution is the World Trade Organization. Look at the picture. It is a symbol given for World Trade Organization. You will be learning about this in detail in the oncoming topics. Let us go to the next topic, World Trade Organization. The World Trade Organization was established in 1995 as a successor to the GATT. Do you know what is GATT? General Agreement on Tariff and Trade. This WTO is a new international organization set up to play the role of watchdog in the spheres of trade in goods and services, foreign investment and intellectual property. Its Secretary General is Arthur Dunkel, the one who formulated the Dunkel Draft. The member countries' commerce ministers' conference are being organized for every 2 years. The first WTO conference was held at Singapore in 1996. The recent conference was held at Argentina in 2017. It was planned to organize 12th conference at Kazakhstan in 2020. Look at the picture, students. It is a picture of the World Trade Center. Its headquarters located at New York, USA. It featured the landmark Twin Towers, which was established on 4th April 1973. Later it was destroyed on 11th September 2001 by the Kraft attack. It brings together businesses involved in international trade from around the globe. Objectives of WTO. Let us see the various objectives of World Trade Organization. First, to ensure reduction of tariff and other barriers. Second, to eliminate discrimination in trade. Third, to facilitate higher standard of living. Fourth, to facilitate optimal use of world's resources. Fifth, to enable the LDCs to secure fair share in the growth of international trade. LDC, nothing but least developed countries. And last, to ensure linkages between trade policies, environmental policies, and sustainable development. Let us now see the various agreements of WTO. The first one is TRIPS, Agreement on Trade Related Intellectual Property Rights. This TRIPS agreement provides for granting product patents instead of process patent. The period of protection will be 20 years for patents, 50 years for copyright, 7 years for trademarks, and 10 years for layout designs. Due to this TRIPS, the dependence of LDCs on advanced countries for seeds, drugs, fertilizers, and pesticides has increased. Farmers are depending on the industrial firm for their seeds. Second, TRIMS, Agreement on Trade Related Investment Measures. TRIMS were widely employed by developing countries. Restrictions on foreign investment on the following grounds are to be removed: no restriction on area of investment, no binding on use of local material, no mandatory export, no restriction on repatriation of royalty, dividend and interest, no trade balancing requirement. Third, GATS, General Agreement on Trade and Services. This is the first multilateral set of rules covering trade in services like banking, insurance, transportation, communication, etc. All member countries are supposed to extend MFN status to all other countries without any discrimination. Yes, what is this MFN status? MFN status is an economic position in which a country enjoys the best trade terms given by its trading partners. That means it receives the lowest tariffs, the fewest trade barriers, and the highest import quotas. This is the MFN status. And the next agreement is MFA, Multi-Fiber Agreement. The Multi-Fiber Agreement governed the world trade in the field of textiles and garments since 1974. It imposed quotas on export of textiles by developing nations to the developed countries. This quota system was to be phased out over a period of 10 years. This was very beneficial to India. And the last one is AOA, that is Agreement on Agriculture. Agriculture was included for the first time under GATT. The important aspect of the agreement are tarification, tariff cuts, and subsidy reduction. Functions of WTO. First point, it implements, administer, and operate the objectives of the agreement and of the multilateral trade agreement. Second, it provides forum for negotiation among its members. What is forum? It is a meeting where ideas and views of a particular issues are exchanged. Third, it handles trade disputes, that is fight, among the member countries. Fourth, it monitors all the national trade policies, monitors, checks. Fifth, it provides technical assistance and training for developing countries. Sixth, it cooperates with all other international organizations. Let us now see the achievements of WTO. It took effective measures and reduced the BOP problem markedly. Services trade brought in multilateral system and many countries opened their market for trade and investment. Created the trade policy review mechanism for the continuous monitoring of trade policy development. WTO and India. India is the founding member of the WTO. It enjoys MFN status and allows the same status to all other trading partners. India benefited from WTO on the following grounds. First, it reduced the tariff rates on raw materials, components, and capital goods. It was able to import more for meeting her developmental requirements. India's imports go on increasing. Second, India gets market access in several countries without any bilateral trade agreements. Third, India used advanced technology at a cheaper cost. Fourth, India is in a better position to get quick redressal from the trade disputes. And the last, the Indian exporters benefited from wider market information. Now let us go to the next topic, trade blocs. Trade blocs cover different kinds of arrangements between or among countries for mutual benefit. Economic integration take the form of free trade area, customs union, common market, and economic union. Free trade area is the region encompassing a trade bloc where member countries have signed a free trade agreement. Example, SAPTA and EFTA. A customer union is defined as a type of trade bloc composed of a free trade area with no tariff among members and with a common external tariff. Example, Benelux. Common market is established through trade facts, group formed by countries to promote duty-free trade and free movement of labor and capital among its members. Example, European Common Market, ECM. An economic union is composed of a common market with a customs union. Example, European Economic Union. Next, we are going to see the various trade blocs, SAARC, ASEAN, and BRICS. The first one is SAARC. I hope you all know about this SAARC. You have learned this in 10th standard. Once again, let us have a look upon it. SAARC is nothing but the South Asian Association for Regional Cooperation. It's an organization of South Asian nation. It was established on 8th December 1985 for the promotion of economic and social progress, cultural development within the South Asia region. The various member countries of SAARC are given in the picture. They are India, Bhutan, Pakistan, Nepal, Bangladesh, Maldives, Sri Lanka, and in April 2007, Afghanistan became its 8th member. See, all the member countries' national flag has been given in the picture. The SAARC Secretariat was established in Kathmandu on 16 January 1987. The first SAARC summit was held at Dhaka. Where is Dhaka? It's the capital of Bangladesh. In the year 1985, the 20th SAARC summit was hosted by Sri Lanka in 2018. The SAARC meeting will be held once in 2 years. Look at the picture, students. We can see the SAARC Secretariat building in Nepal, and all the leaders of the countries are standing before the building. On the back side we can see all the member countries flags. Let us see the objectives of SAARC. The first point, to promote the welfare of the people of South Asia. Second, to accelerate economic growth and cultural development in the region. Third, to promote and strengthen self-reliance among the countries of South Asia. Fourth, to contribute mutual trust and understanding of one another's problems. Fifth, to promote active collaboration with member countries and mutual assistance. Sixth, to strengthen cooperation with other developing countries. 7. To strengthen cooperation among themselves in international forums. And last, 8. To cooperate with international and regional organizations with similar aims and purposes. Next, let us see the functions of SAARC. The first function is, it maintains a very good cooperation with all the member countries. Next, it solves the common problems of all the member countries. Third, it ensures good and strong relationship among all its member nations. Next, removal of poverty through various packages of poverty alleviation program. And last, prevention of terrorism in the region. Let us go to the next topic, achievements of SAARC. First one, it established SAPTA. What is SAPTA? SAARC Preferential Trading Agreement. It was set up to bring reduction in tariff and non-tariff barriers on imports. Second one, setting up of a technical committees for economic cooperation among SAARC countries relating to agriculture, communication, education, health and population. Third, SAARC had established a 3-tier mechanism for exchanging information on poverty reduction program. What do you mean by that 3-tier? Yes, the first tier comprised the secretaries to the government concerned with poverty eradication and social development. Second tier comprised finance and planning secretaries. Third tier comprised finance and planning ministers. Fourth one, SAARC Agricultural Information Center was set up in 1988 and it works as a central information institution for agricultural related resources like fisheries, forestry, etc. And the last is, South Asian Development Fund was set up for development project, human resource development projects and infrastructural development projects. Let us now go to the next trade bloc, ASEAN, that is Association of Southeast Asian Nations. It was established on 8th August 1967 in Bangkok. Where is Bangkok? It's in Thailand, the capital of Thailand. Yes, the initial member countries of this ASEAN are Indonesia, Malaysia, Philippines, Singapore, and Thailand. Some new countries joined later. Let us see those countries. Brunei Darussalam, Vietnam, Laos, Myanmar, and Cambodia. Look at the picture. All the member countries' flag has been given here. See Brunei, Cambodia, Indonesia, Laos, Malaysia, Myanmar, Philippines, Singapore, Thailand, and Vietnam. Look at the picture, students. The 35th Asian Summit was held at Bangkok in 2019. See, we can see the leaders of all the 10 member countries with joining hands. These Asian trade blocs have some dialogue partners in their association. Some of the dialogue partners are China, Japan, India, South Korea, New Zealand, and Australia, who are called as dialogue partners. This dialogue partner is any country that enjoys consultative relationship in areas of common interest and may participate actively in the conference. So all these countries will participate in the conference of the ASEAN. Foreign trade is the lifeblood of the Asian countries. This Asian summit will meet once in 3 years. Foreign ministers is the highest decision making body. India's relationship with ASEAN started only in 1992 when India became its sectoral dialogue partner. What is the meaning of sectoral dialogue partner? That is, a country have a say only in few areas. That means it will not be a full participation, but it can participate and share their ideas in certain few areas. Yes, let us now see the objectives of ASEAN. First, to accelerate the economic growth, social progress, and cultural development in the region. Next objective is to promote regional peace and stability. Third, to promote cooperation among the members of ASEAN through the exchange of knowledge. Fourth, to provide a conducive environment and facilities for research, training, and education among the members. Fifth, to serve as a center of information with other international organizations. Now let us see the important functions of the ASEAN. It facilitates free movement of goods and services and investments within ASEAN. Next, it provides free access to the marketers of one member country to the markets of all other member countries. Third, it improves business competitiveness between businesses from different countries, and it also narrows the developmental gaps between member countries. Next, it paves way for market and investment opportunities for all its member nations. Last, it fosters cooperation in many areas, including industry and trade. All these Asian economies experienced a very great economic crisis in the year 1997. Now let us go to the next trade bloc, BRICS. BRICS is the acronym for an association of 5 major emerging national economies: Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa. It was established in 2001 as BRIC. Later in 2010, South Africa joined the group and it came to be called as BRICS. Its headquarters is at Shanghai in China. Look at the picture, students. The BRICS 5 countries flag has been given here. The member countries: Brazil, Russia, India, China and South Africa. All these countries will meet annually in their conference. BRICS first summit was held at Moscow. The 4th summit and 8th summit were held in India in the year 2012 and 2016. The 10th summit was held at Johannesburg in South Africa in 2018. And the agenda of the 2018 summit are trade issues, global governance, shared prosperity, international peace and security. Objectives of BRICS: first, to increase trade cooperation among its member countries. Next, to use currency other than US dollar. Dollar is a dominant currency and US can control the flow of dollar. So BRICS help in the countries operating with alternative currency other than dollar. Third, to increase regional cooperation among the member countries. And last, to create a separate trade bloc made for developing countries for trade cooperation. Next, functions of BRICS. It acts as a promoter of more legitimate international system. What's the meaning of legitimate? Yes, in accordance with law. Second, this group of nations is especially meant for South. Third, it acts as an agent to bridge the gap between developed and developing countries. Next, it performs a commendable contribution for assisting developing countries. And next, it disseminates information and exchange platform beyond economic cooperation. What's the meaning of disseminate? Spreading. Yes, we have come to the achievements of BRICS. First, it established Contingent Reserve Arrangement, CRA. What is this Contingent Reserve Arrangement? It is a framework for the provision of support through liquidity and precautionary instruments in response to actual or potential short-term balance of payments pressure. Next, in the 6th BRICS summit, which was held in Brazil, all the member countries signed an agreement and created a new bank called New Development Bank with its headquarters at Shanghai in China. It was held in 2015. Third, the economic potential and demographic development are putting the BRICS country increasingly in a leading position in setting the global agenda. See, BRICS share 43% of the world population but its global GDP is only 21%. Yes, students, we have come to the end of the lessons. So recollect what all we have studied in this lesson, starting from the three institutions of International Economic Organization, IMF, World Bank and WTO. We have seen its functions, objectives and achievements. We have also come across the various trade agreements, TRIPS, TRIMS, GATS, AOA, MFA, and the three very important trade blocs, ASEAN, SAARC and BRICS. We have gone through all its objectives, functions and achievements. I hope you all have understood all the concepts very clearly. Thank you.